Good morning, everybody. It is December 28th, 2023. And it's a sad day here. It's a sad day here on the East Coast. Light is just starting to break in Moscow, Idaho. And we have the demolition of the King Road home. I'm going to just sit back here. I'm going to turn up the sound and let everybody listen to the situation that's happening on the ground at this moment. And let us know in the chat, how do you feel? How do you feel about this? This is a live feed. It's probably about a minute off. So I apologize. I was about a minute late getting live on air as this came through. I have my Vandals sweatshirt on today in support. I am emotional. I had a bit of loss for words. Let me know how you're feeling in that chat this morning. I'm not going to talk much this morning. I'm just going to kind of sit back and let everybody chat. We'll just watch.
Live from the Stream Center, breaking news on WFLA Now. Here's J.B. Buno.
Months ahead of a possible trial window, a murder scene bulldozed. The University of Idaho proceeding to demolish the home where 4 University of Idaho students were stabbed to death last year, a highly controversial decision. Let's take you out there live to King Road in Moscow, Idaho, where the sun has not yet come up yet, but the demolition, if my watch is correct, beginning more than 15 minutes early.
Disgusting. Here
you see one of the crew members standing over the rubble where the demolition is currently underway. This is the home, for those of you just joining us on Facebook Live or perhaps elsewhere on social media or on WFLA.com, this is the home where in November of 2022, 4 University of Idaho students were stabbed to death in the middle of the night.
Yeah, WFLA
afterwards,
providing this live.
Months,
so we
the
appreciate
investigation
that.
led them to suspect Brian
I'm not going to talk this
who is
a lot
currently
this morning.
awaiting trial for the stabbing deaths of University of Idaho students Susanna Kernodle, Maddie Mogan, Kaylee Gonzalez, and Ethan Chapin. But 6 months before the possible trial window opens up, prosecutors, the defense, the university, in agreement that the King Road residence where the murders took place can be demolished, and that is what is happening on schedule here on King Road in Moscow. A decision that is just, without putting too many labels on it, is controversial. People asking already in our comment section, will this decision be regretted in the future? Now, prosecutors say they have all the evidence they need. In essence, they're not standing in the way of this being bulldozed simply because they feel that they have what they need to make their case should a trial actually occur in, let's say, I don't know, May, June, July, August. But the response online from people who have followed this case asking, why now? Why not leave it up for one more semester? Allow for the trial to begin as scheduled and it be used as a tool, potentially, if needed, for the jury to reach their conclusion as to whether or not Brian Kohberger is guilty of first-degree murder. I'm going to ask my stream chat because look, it's not that big of a deal, but I think the demolition began early, right? The demolition was slated, I had it as 10 o'clock Eastern, 9 Central.
Yeah, it was early. Definitely was early.
And then, of course, Pacific time, Moscow, Idaho. So, yeah, and then some others in the chat here wondering, is there anyone protesting? I have another feed we're going to be bringing up here. Stand by. As promised, we have now another picture to show you.
God dang.
And I'm going to be bouncing back and forth between these feeds. I'm curious to know exactly what the scene looks like other than the house itself, whether or not there are onlookers, people on the block who came outside. It's cold. It's 34, 35 or so degrees in Moscow, Idaho this morning. But Did anybody show up with signs? Are there any demonstrations taking place? It should also be stated as well that the university said that the demolition should take several days, and I
It
remember
ain't
thinking
looking
to
like
myself,
it's gonna.
I have a hard time believing that
Yeah,
a relatively
that looks
small
pretty
structure
small.
is going to take that long to
Yeah,
demolish.
it's gonna take a couple days to
it
get
hasn't.
the
It's
demo
not even
out of
10
there.
o'clock Eastern yet, and the home is already half demolished. They'll have to, of
Telling
course,
you.
Remove a lot of the debris, what's left behind, and of course that's a process that will take several days. But I mean, in large part, the house is destroyed, and now, of course, it'll be very interesting to see the response online, seeing this with again a potential trial, perhaps starting in as early as 5-6 months.
Like two.
You might hear some reporter chatter here. Let's go to the other feed. Listen in here. I'd like to take a moment to read one of the more recent statements that came from the Gonzalez and Kernodle families. They issued a joint statement in objection to what you are witnessing right here, the demolition of the King Road residence. And I'm going to read it. And it lays out some points as to why, for what they describe as basic evidentiary purposes, why the demolition should not have been allowed to proceed. And it reads as follows. The Gonzalez family has reached out to the Latah County Prosecutor's Office and the University of Idaho to stop this madness. When the victims can't speak, you have to speak for them when you feel someone is hurting the case. Let's just answer the question on why the King Road house should stand for basic evidentiary purposes. What were the vantage points of the roommates? What could they hear from where they were in the house? What could they see? How far was one of the surviving roommates when she saw Brian Koberger, and why didn't he see her? Could the surviving roommates hear a dog barking from the third floor? Screams? Can you hear those same sounds from the bottom apartment? Outside the house, if evidence is presented about Brian Koberger leaving or watching the house, what windows could he see in from where he was parked? Was he able to view the inside of the house? And what was going on from outside, sitting in a car, walking by? How long did it take for him to walk to his car? What points of entry could he have gotten into the house? Is there audio evidence? What can you hear standing outside the house? What can you hear inside the house? What was Xana's path in the house to pick up the DoorDash? Did she have to walk past different rooms? Could she have walked past Brian Koberger? Where could he have been hiding? All the entry and exit points in the home. How could you get in and out without anyone seeing you? Were the decks potential access points, since the decks and landscape features are very close to each other? Any biological evidence? Where was it located in the house? Any proximity to the victims? Was there any trail outside of biological evidence and its proximity to the house? If the house itself was a target, why was the house a target? Why are all the access/exit points to the property? I'm not sure if I'm reading that one correctly. The driveway configuration for a vehicle to exit/enter/turn around. What are the vantage points of other camera evidence pointed toward the house? Distance, view, lighting, etc. And then they go on to ask for a trial date being scheduled. If there was any last-minute attempt for a court order to stop this from moving forward, it failed. We don't know what those efforts look like and how far along they got and whether they were entertained or not, but they did not get far enough to prevent this from happening. Now, to respond to the Gonzalez and Kernodle families, as far as some of these questions, prosecutors have stated that they have what they need. And also, too, that a lot of the questions that they're raising can be answered in the form of digital recreating the crime scene digitally for a jury. But really, this is going to be fascinating because how does a digitally recreated crime scene, how would it stand up against? We'll never really know the answer to the question, but how does a digitally recreated crime scene stand up to
the real thing
physically being there?
That's what we've talked about.
We know that in the Murdaugh case, that the jurors were able to go and stand around the dog kennels where of course, murders had taken place. And you will never truly understand, or maybe we will in time as more jurors come forward, but what kind of impact that had, the emotional depth that comes with visiting a crime scene. Also, too, though, it has to be stated, we don't know whether or not there would have been that much leeway for a jury to actually go to the residence, and also, too, the time that would have elapsed as well. I'm trying to be fair here. I'm trying to be objective. I've spent weeks thinking about this myself, trying to understand all sides here.
You know how we stand here on LTL True Crime.
Understand this, from a prosecutor standpoint, from a defense attorney standpoint, university standpoint. Again, this being allowed to proceed because the university wants to heal. But the fact of the matter is that this is going to be in the news repeatedly between now and trial, and it's going to, of course, hit a new, peak when actually trial gets underway.
I'm here, y'all. I'm just
trying to understand it from all angles here.
Listening.
But back to the point, will a digitally recreated crime scene pack the same punch and have the same impact for a jury than the physical crime scene itself, should they have been allowed to have gone there? And also, too, how preserved would the crime scene have been? There you can see the first dump truck. Here, let's go here live. That's the first dump truck leaving with sections of the home. One thing I wasn't able to see, we're about to bring up your hashtag HJB comments. You can start punching those in now. We're going to start to animate those on screen. But sorry, just reading some text messages here. I'm going to be reading your hashtag HJB comments, but
sorry, I'm kind of got a multitude of things going. I'm trying to step back and allow everybody to take in this moment. Yeah, right. We haven't seen any. Remember the tunnels? All the conspirators, the tunnels that were there under this front yard and the ground. And remember all these idiots that came online and talked about tunnels and drug tunnels and all this other crap that they put out there for months and months and months, ran with all this conspiracy, this bullshit. Well, we're proving you all wrong, morons.
We have a guest who's going to be joining us in the stream center momentarily. Stand by.
I think they're going to have this thing out of there by today. I think the major piece of all the structure will be gone. All this demo will be gone. And I think, taking weeks to clean it up, it might take a week or two to level that site, take the concrete out of there. But as far as the wooden structure, this is all going to be gone and pulled out of there today. This is gone. I was looking on the Gonzalez family Facebook page. I couldn't find any update today, anything that they've said. I mean, this will be in 2 or 3 hours gone. Those excavators will be out of there as quick as possible. All this demo will be pulled off.
Coming back in here, checking.
They'll come back and level the foundation.
I wonder if people feel the same way as Brooke.
Hey, Brooke, she
says,
comes in our chat.
JB, this is so hard to watch.
That's pretty cool.
And no matter who you are, whatever side you represent, I'm sure that you're feeling an emotion watching this. We have seen live reports outside of the King Road residence.
I'm upset. I'm really upset.
Seen digital recreations of what it was like in the house. So many of us in reading through the arrest affidavit when we did that on stream, trying to gain an idea, like a mental sort of projection of what it was like in the home. On the 3rd floor, down to the 2nd floor, down to the 1st floor with this hooded or figure in the darkness, if you will, making an exit out of the house, being seen by one of the surviving roommates. Trying to put yourself in that home, and now that watching that home be demolished, yeah, I'm sure to Brooke's point, I'm sure for many it's difficult to watch. What else are we seeing here in the comment section? Again, I'm literally going to just isolate for #KJB for a moment because it makes things a little bit easier for me to see. Ali says, #KJB, everything about this feels wrong. We'll get to our poll results here in a moment. My Instagram poll last night, I thought the results were somewhat surprising, but we can talk more about that in a little bit. But I ran an Instagram poll last night to try to get an idea as to where everyone's frame of mind was at heading into today. That poll is still up on my Instagram. I don't have access to the News Nation live feed, but ICU says that they're reporting on News Nation that debris will now be guarded because of souvenir hunters, etc. L says #KJB, why/how did the prosecution agree to this? I'm not entirely sure, and I'll have to check my notes if they agreed to it. There's a difference between agreeing to something and then not standing in the way of something. They might not have objected to the university's decision and chose not to act in opposition. But no, really, prosecutors did not put up a fight in preventing this. So, and that, of course, has raised a lot of questions, but speaks to how confident they must be in what they do have evidence-wise. American Dreamer, #KJB, will they go through the rubble? It's a very interesting question. Will someone sift through the remnants of the home to make sure that there isn't something that was missed? Even if they did find something of value, it would be so. I would imagine. I'm not an expert, I'm not an attorney, but I would imagine it would be so incredibly easy to get it tossed out.
Yeah,
because you
contaminated.
You have no true proof of where it was, how long it was there. There's so. I don't know. What I do know is that
welcome in, everybody.
We have a friend of the program.
Make sure to smash that like button. That's the most important thing. We want to get the stream out.
I don't even know where he is.
We want to get people in the room.
Peter Tragos, the lawyer,
people, not enough. We need to get
joining
us.
Wouldn't be right
400 or
to
500
be talking
people.
about this case and not be bringing in Peter. Peter and I have streamed a lot on this particular story. Peter, you on vacation? Where are you, my friend?
I'm in North Carolina, man, and it's freezing here. It's freezing.
Whoa. Welcome. Hope you and your family are great. Happy holidays to you and the Tragos clan. What's talk to me. You're looking at this. We've been talking about King Road for really more than a year now. You see this. What's your gut initial reaction, even before you're interpreting this as a lawyer? What's going through your mind?
Yeah, to me, there's just so many questions about why it's necessary at this point, this time. They talk about the economics. They talk about, how much it costs to keep the house up and those types of things. It's almost nothing. If you look at a budget and you look at everything they're paying for, to me, it really has more to do with probably PR, and they want people to not think about this when they think about the University of Idaho.
Got it right. I like
and
the
they
take
want to try
already.
to put this in the past, and I can understand that. But while the case is still active, the world is still watching. Nobody's going to put this in their rearview mirror until the trial's over, and maybe not even then. As we know, there are post-trial things that happen that keep people's eyes and attention on it. And I just think there are so many more reasons to leave it up, just in case, better safe than sorry type of story, than to remove it at this point.
We're introducing #LawyerYouKnow into the conversation. Of course, Peter is the lawyer you know. You can follow him on his respective social media platforms, including right here on YouTube. Peter, we're going to get to those #LawyerYouKnow questions, because I'm sure a lot of the questions that our live chat has right now are similar to the questions that I have. But I want to start with this one, because I always try to approach situations like this lowest common denominator. And I start with this asking one fundamental question. Is there any financial reason? Is there any money reason as to why they would be proceeding with this? Or is it purely in large part they just want to move on?
Yeah, I mean, the financial reason would just be to save the money, to keep the house up, to take care of the house, to... Can you hear me still?
Oh, yeah, I got you. But I guess I'm also wondering... I guess I'm also... Yeah, I got you. I got you on the AirPods. Okay. I guess I'm wondering, are they afraid that the house is scaring off prospective students? I mean, I'm thinking about all of the various financial reasons as to why they would be so keen on taking this risk. It is a risk to demolish this house, and why they would want to move with it.
Send it to your friends. So badly. Post it on Twitter, whatever you can.
Yeah, I mean, and that's kind of the PR
very important
part
day.
Of it, right? There's all financial ripple
very,
effects
very
that come from people associating this case with the University of Idaho, right? It's students, it's donors, it's people coming to football games, basketball games, parents' weekend, whatever it may be. The little bit of tourism they probably get from the university being there is affected by this. And I think they think this is a step in the direction of putting this behind them, which, again, we can understand from the victim's point of view how hurtful this can be, how difficult this can be. For some of the victims, we can understand some of the victims, don't really care what happens because they realize it's not going to change what's going on. Other victims are probably in support, at least partially, because they also want to put it behind them. But at the end of the day, I think everybody wants justice in the case. And if this could help even 1% in getting that justice, whichever way it turns at trial, to me, I don't understand the reason why you would get rid of the house at this point.
To read the statement from this gentleman here, bring down some audio a little bit. But on the left is Idaho President Scott Green, and his statement read as follows: that the house is a grim reminder of the heinous act that took place there. While we appreciate the emotional connection some family members of the victims may have to this house, it is time for its removal and to allow the collective healing of our community to continue. This, of course, coming from the University of Idaho, and this is Scott Green from the University of Idaho website. So that, again, speaking to why they want to, that's it in their words. What we're going to do now is spotlight your #LawyerYouKnow questions. We'll come back to #AJB, but while we have X amount of minutes with Peter while he's on vacation, providing us with legal analysis, we're going to try to just exclusively focus on questions and comments with #LawyerYouKnow. And Peter, before I take Nicole's question here on the center of our screen, let's just start with this question. You're on vacation. How many minutes do you have for our Q&A here coming up?
I'm good till about 10:30, so I got a little more than 15 minutes.
All right, so let's do it. About a 15-minute Q&A, and then we'll send Peter on his way to have fun with the fam. All right, Nicole says, hashtags for us both. Again, use one of these hashtags in the YouTube Live or Facebook Live comment section if you want your comment featured on screen. So, what was the process like to get this approved? Who had the final say? What did that process look like? We've been talking, Peter, to kind of preface this, we've been talking about how there really was little objection other than the Gonzalez family, the Kernodle family. There wasn't much of an objection outside of those two families in demolishing this house. So people wanted to know how this came to be.
If you're just coming into the chat, I want to welcome everybody into LTL True Crime today. We are sadly this morning watching the demolition of 1122 King Road. I'm going to sit back and kind of allow the moment to carry. We'll listen to the commentary here on WFL. And I just got the call letters wrong. It's probably right there in front of me. I'm just super emotional today. I can't even right now. WFLA. I had it right. WFLA. And, we'll sit back and listen to the commentary and then obviously carry on. I have a very strong feeling that this house will be gone within a few hours, another 2 or 3 hours. It'll be gone. It'll probably take a couple of days to clean up the site, level the rest of the foundation. And it's just, it's a very, very sad day. It's a very, very sad day. But we'll keep playing on here. We'll keep listening in.
They have digitally recreated a 3D blueprint of the house that can be used, potentially a trial. So Viola asks, would the 3D scan actually be used for jurors to do a VR walkthrough? Now this is an interesting question. This is actually a fascinating question, because VR is the idea that they would be able to put on virtual reality headsets to be in the home and see the digitally recreated murder scene. Now, Peter, have you ever heard of VR headsets being used by a jury? That would be obviously new territory now.
So I haven't been a part of a trial or seen a trial where VR headsets were actually used. I think that'd be interesting to use that new technology. I would think it would probably look more like a virtual accident reconstruction, where maybe they have a body dressed in black with a mask on, walking through the steps that they either have evidence that he walked through, or that witness testimony can say, I saw him coming down the stairs, entering here, exiting there. We have a footprint here in the carpet, recreating the scene, virtually walking them through the scene, showing them each bedroom, showing them the stairs, showing them how they believed it happened. Now, are they going to be able to get all that in? There will be challenges on what's admissible, what's not, what should be excluded, what should not, based on it being a recreation. And are they making any inferences? Are they making any jumps in their recreation? There's a lot of fights in every case, civil or criminal, when there is some kind of accident reconstruction that is virtual.
I can almost vision it, Viola. You can almost envision them rolling a big screen TV right in front of the jurors and right in front of the respective parties in the courthouse to show them a 3D recreation. But the idea of them using virtual reality, which is the idea of, again, putting on a headset or being immersed in that recreation.
It's also expensive.
I would imagine crazy expensive, right, Peter, to be able to go that far to take jurors into the house virtually. Let's look at some other comments that are just coming in this moment. And
while you look.
Yes.
While you look. But
yes.
Go ahead.
No.
Well, I was just going to say, like, the other issue with the virtual measurements and them recreating this virtually is people get annoyed at criminal defense attorneys, but good criminal defense attorneys pick things apart. And you have the FBI, you have local law enforcement, whoever it is that writes these reports. It's part of their job. They're experts. They do this for 20 years. They still make mistakes. And defense attorneys will have certain things completely thrown out, or the credibility looking lackluster based on those mistakes. So let's say the defense has an expert that measured it one way, and you're 2 inches off on the state's expert, and they have this virtual recreation of the house that they're saying, oh, that window is actually 2 inches higher than you have it here. So wouldn't that make it a lot harder to climb through that window? Or you have the sliding glass door 6 inches to the left. If he would have done that, there would be a footprint here. And now it's all this virtual measurement and equations being used and math to recreate this virtually. And poking holes is going to be part of this. And showing how it's not reliable or not credible to use it the way the state wants to use it, it's probably going to be something the defense does in this case, just like they're going to pick apart police reports, just like they're going to pick apart DNA evidence, how it was collected, how it was tested. All of that is going to happen now with the virtual recreation of this crime scene.
The source material is quite literally being wiped away as we speak, is basically what you're saying. That if they need to correct something, it's pretty much now. They would never truly know, because you can't go to a house that has been completely demolished. To Allie's question, hashtags for us both. Is it true that Brian Kohberger could go to the house if the jurors went? This is interesting. So had the demolition not occurred and the jury was able to go, similar to Murdaugh, would Brian Kohberger have accompanied them?
In most scenarios, they would be able to if they could create a secure and safe enough way for this to happen. I believe in Darrell Brooks, he was able to go down before the jury with law enforcement to see his car that they looked at as the jury view, if I'm remembering correctly. I don't believe Murdaugh went to Moselle. His lawyers did. So it really depends on if the judge thinks there was a safe and secure enough way to transport him to view what the jury is viewing. Again, as part of his rights as a criminal defendant to see what the evidence is against him. But at the very least, his lawyers would be there.
You know, one of the points that was brought up by the Gonzalez and Kernodle families in their statement was audio. You know, we're so caught up in visually what it was like in there, but hearing screams and what was heard from the first floor or from the third floor down to the first floor. Callie Cat wants to know, can they recreate what D was able to hear? Again, referencing
say their name.
So they wouldn't have somebody stand across the street and scream so that they could hear what it sounds like. But similar to Moselle, if you do a jury view and you go inside, and if it's dead quiet and you can't hear anything inside, you can probably think as a juror, if I'm standing inside another house, it's probably similar to this. With Moselle, they could see all these trees. Could we have seen what was happening? Could we have heard it? If we're back by the house, how far away is it from the kennels? Could we have heard what was happening at the kennels while we were at the house? So you can kind of see, feel, hear, use your five senses when you visit the crime scene. Now, jury views do not happen in every case. It's not like this was guaranteed to happen. One side or the other could have objected to it still. Just the possibility of it, to me, would have been enough to leave it up for now. If you think about Parkland and the Nicholas Cruz shooting case here in Florida, and the status that they left that school up over all those years, to me, is a much bigger undertaking than this one house.
Michelle says the word that she uses is suspicious that the prosecution agreed to this. And again, I have to check my notes just to, journalist at heart here, making sure that my crossing my T's, dotting my I's, but whether or not the prosecutors actually agreed to this or whether or not they just didn't stand in the way objecting to this. But bottom line is the prosecutors didn't put up much of a fight, Peter, in preventing the demolition from taking place. Suspicion.
Micro Kimmy with the 999 says prosecution said they wouldn't have allowed a walkthrough because they said they have enough to get him, which may be true, but prosecutors get tunnel vision, which ends up being their undoing. Yeah, and the thing is, I was reading an article this morning, and Bill Thompson, I think, wrote like 8 different emails in the last couple of weeks to the university, essentially saying that they have everything that they need, and essentially that the house itself has changed significantly in the year. And the thing you have to look at, it probably hasn't been controlled, climate inside. We don't know if the heat has been on. I'm sure that walls have been cut out. Obviously, there's a lot of biohazard. I get all that. We talked about this over the last couple of streams that the acoustics of the house have probably changed. The flooring has changed. So a lot of things have changed in that house. I just don't understand how, if I'm looking at this bottle, I'm physically looking at this bottle, and I can't recreate that and get that same feeling in a video or a photo. Another rumor that I've heard also is that when a lot of people that have gone to visit the home, they say, wow, I didn't realize how small the house actually is, because on video, in photos, it looks so much bigger. And it's funny, I had a reaction to that the first time I ever went to Fenway Park in Boston. And I came up out of the tunnel and came up and saw the green monster, that wall at Fenway Park, for the first time. And I went, oh my God, it looks so much smaller in here. Because when you're looking on TV, it just looks huge. It's big. The park is actually really, really small. And, I think it would have been good for jurors to see that perspective, to get that perspective, to understand how quickly this could have been navigated. This house could have been navigated. It does. It seems very big when you look at it. But when you're there in person, again, it's very small. And it makes that home see easier to navigate within that 15, 20-minute time going through and committing these murders. So,
I mean, you see these huge pieces of
we'll
machinery
see
just
Penny
ripping stuff
later on
apart.
tonight.
And,
She's
you
going
know,
to
he drops it in the back of the
talk
truck and
YouTube
somebody sees
with
a
us.
knife fall out. Where was it? Was it on the first floor, the second floor? Which room was it in? Which air duct was it in? Was it in the toilet? Where was it hidden? You know, we have no idea. Is there going to be DNA testing? Is there going to be any of these construction workers or demolition people or anybody before with their DNA on it? You know, how do you actually keep it clean? There are all sorts of issues. Now, the argument on the other side could be, well, we probably never would have found it if they didn't demolish the house. So maybe it was a good thing they demolished the house if they did find the weapon. To me, one of the other big questions is,
Kimmy says, walk through
if
around
there's a
house
not guilty
looking
verdict,
in
it's over.
mattered
And I think it's
most, in
almost
my opinion.
impossible to prosecute
Absolutely.
anybody else than Brian Koberger at this point, because they're not going to have the opportunity to do this testing, look at the house, see if they want to block it, and demand a jury view on their side. So this is an all or nothing attempt, which most are. Once you prosecute and arrest and try somebody for a crime like this, it's very difficult to then switch gears to somebody else, because you've already made statements and gotten witness statements and put up enough evidence beyond a reasonable doubt that you believe it's this person. So any defense would be able to use that person as another suspect as besides of their client. But just an interesting thought process about the risks when demolishing the house like this.
Right. Or what it could potentially uncover. Now, look, federal authorities have been in the house. Prosecutors have been in the house. Obviously, authorities in Latah County, Moscow, Idaho have been in the house. This house has been micro-analyzed to get every little shred of evidence possible. It would be cataclysmic to think about the potential ramifications if the murder weapon was in the house all along. That is a crazy concept, but it just goes, even if it's not the murder weapon.
Well,
any
here's
piece of tangible
another
evidence.
piece of information that was out there recently in the article that I was reading this morning. Maybe we can pull that up after and later. Did you know that if the jurors had a walkthrough at King Road, guess who could have been there for that walkthrough? He has the right to be there. It would have been Brian Koberger. Can you imagine the media and the shit show that would have been down there? And maybe that's part of what they're trying to not cause here. Let's tear the house down. The jury can't go there. Koberger doesn't have the right to go there now. You stop all the media frenzy. I mean, there would have been thousands of people in that area if Koberger was there. Thousands of people there. So this would have caused, big security problems. I mean, it would have been crazy down there. And maybe they're trying to prevent that by doing this, because the jury could have just went, all right, we're going to go walk through. Defendant has the right to be there. I mean, yeah, it would have been great for us, for media. I mean, we would have been salivating at those pictures and video. But I mean, it would have been a nightmare to contain all of that. You'd have to have security. You'd have to have the press set up in a certain area. You'd have to have officials there. Koberger would have to be guarded. People around that area might, try to do something bad to him. Being in that area, someone might try to attack him. So you have to think about all those logistics in that sense too. I'm still torn. I'm very torn by this. It does bother me. It's a connection to something that we've had here for over a year. I think it's one of the biggest significant pieces of evidence. And I don't think anything should ever be built there again. I think it should just be whatever they're going to turn it into. Apparently, it's not going to be the memorial, because they're going to move it and put that on the university campgrounds, which makes no sense to me, because usually when you memorialize something, you do it in the spot that the tragedy happened. Here's a perfect example: the Station Night House fires that happen out here in Rhode Island. I'm very close to that site. They built it on site. It wasn't like, oh, we're going to honor the victims and we're going to build the memorial 3 blocks down the street. I mean, it just doesn't make sense. So we'll turn this back up.
Shows how far through the process they are, and that they're, sorry, there's a truck driving by. So it shows how far into the process they are. And I think the state's ready and nobody's going to be surprised at that. So I think Brian Koberger and his team want to do everything they can to make sure they're as ready as possible. And if they're not, they're going to delay it until they feel as confident as they can be that they've unturned everything.
In the article that I read this morning, there was a very, I was watching actually a video from Chronicles of Livia this morning. She did a beautiful little tribute on her channel, and go check it out. Maybe we can play it later, but she said while she was down there kind of filming this video and showing her mom for the first time, the house for the first time before it was taken down, there was a neighbor that came out and essentially snickered at her and said, I think it's all time to let that tragedy die within its house, inside the house. And just sitting there kind of smoking a cigarette, snickered and went back into their home. So, I mean, that's, essentially what the neighbors around the neighborhood are saying as well, too.
For this summer.
Yeah, and I think this could mean multiple things. Yes, time passing could affect certain things, but I think more importantly with this house, a lot of testing was done. And again, what's so great about experience and watching other cases, and I know a lot of your viewers have, we think about Murdoch, and we think about that shirt with the blood spatter evidence. They tested it until it was rendered completely useless. It was a different color. They had cut pieces off of it. It looked nothing like the shirt from the videos that he was wearing that day. So that could have happened also with the furniture, with the flooring, with the carpet, with the windows, whatever it may be. It could be substantially different on the night of the crime, but also a lot of it could have been tested, destructively tested.
I don't think so.
Different colors, depending on what they had to spray on it.
Get a view.
If they had to cut pieces of the carpet out. So walking through the house, it probably looked a lot different than it did the day the murders were actually committed. So yeah, there are multiple reasons that it is very different.
Maybe
now
that
than
raises
what it was
another
back then,
question.
but spatially,
Protect the jury.
Like you said, can you hear things? What can you see?
How
long does it take to walk up the stairs if you walk through that back sliding glass door? I think there was still some potential evidentiary value.
I remember that.
Heard it here from Peter Tragos, the lawyer. Peter, the final question I'm going to ask you is, what does a Tragos Christmas vacation look like? You have stepped away from a little bit of vacation time in North Carolina to spend some time with us on stream. What is it? Is it skiing? Is it roasting s'mores? Is it endless Scrabble and Monopoly marathons? What are you going back to?
A little bit of everything. My parents have a place here, and we get a couple other condos. My sisters come up, all their kids, tons of cousins here. We golfed yesterday. We're going to do some pickleball today, go down to Asheville, downtown, hang out there for a little bit. We're going to go tubing in the snow. There's like a big mountain you can snow down, or a tube down in the snow. We'll hang out. We'll watch a lot of movies, eat a lot of meals together around the table, tell some stories, have a lot of fun, play a lot of games. I'm looking forward to it. It's the week I get to relax more than pretty much any week of the year. So I do enjoy it. We do the same thing every single year right after Christmas.
And you're still going to stream on Christmas, or are you making a video?
Yeah, I like it. I streamed yesterday. I'll probably make a video. I don't know. I enjoy it. I enjoy coming and hanging out. If something's going on, we talk about it.
I think he means New Year's.
I still work a little in the morning and at night on my computer. Everything's, online now in the cloud. So I do enjoy doing that. Actually, it gives me peace of mind to continue to work just a little bit. And I enjoy doing the streaming and stuff. So when stuff's happening, we'll talk about it like this. So I appreciate you texting me, and happy I was able to jump on.
Yeah, man. Look, while I was out on leave because we were growing our family, you should know that one of the content creators I listen to the most, of course, yourself. You're a friend first, my friend.
Thank you.
All the best to you and the family. Happy holidays, man, and appreciate your expertise as always.
You as well, man.
All right, Peter Tragos, the lawyer. You really want. Let's comment section. You guys can thank him for spending some time with us on his vacation, but you really want to thank Peter, go follow him on his socials and go give him a like and a subscribe on YouTube. Peter, thanks a lot. Back here with you, everybody, here in the Stream Center, and let's go here full screen and show you that the now King Road residents, they haven't proceeded with the second half of the demolition here just yet. They are clearing rubble, debris from their path and picking it all up and putting it in these dump trucks, clearing the way for them to proceed with the rest of the demolition. But the sun has come up, and we're now getting
that back part of the house is what that's the real
lies at the
piece that we're going to be looking at here.
4 University of Idaho students were brutally stabbed in the middle of the night, November 13th, 2022. Here we are about 13 months later, and now the home where that terrible, heinous act occurred is being wiped away. I'm sure that
I
there's
doubt that.
feelings of relief.
I think it's past all that now. I think they've
Idaho,
gotten everything that they need.
Seeing this, and especially if you live in this area and knowing that this is now a step towards healing. But if you're somebody who has been following this story and praying for justice as the ultimate outcome, you are just hoping that the decision to bulldoze this house and to destroy the murder scene doesn't come back to haunt prosecutors and haunt the pursuit of justice 6+ months from now. Let's say hello to our commenters again. Now we are back with just #KJB if you want your comment to be featured. Really quick, I want to show you the other feed that we have. We're monitoring several feeds here in the Stream Center. I think this is now from the other side of the property. It is. This is a side shot now. So this particular camera crew has
back
moved.
side of the house.
Okay.
And this is the News Nation camera feed. And so they are shooting this from a side angle now. There's that back balcony, the deck there. So many various recreations have occurred, even by folks in, really the online community from a non-law enforcement standpoint, trying to help people that have followed this case truly understand what it was like in the home. What's this in? This is Nancy.
Demolition of the home, but you can see that half of it has already been demolished, and this work got underway half an hour earlier than expected. We were told, it was going to be at the top of the hour, the last hour, and it actually started half an hour before that. And within half an hour, pretty much the front half of the home was gone. So you can see that excavator at work. We've already seen about 5 or 6 dump trucks leaving that is now scooping up all the debris from the front half of the home.
Bring a bunch of live feeds in.
Wood, plywood, flooring, insulation, and it's just scooping loads into dump trucks, which are going to be going to a sanitation area outside of Moscow. And I'm told by the university that law enforcement will be guarding the debris.
Wow.
We are starting to see, some Moscow residents coming out, perhaps a couple students who may be around here, but students are on winter break, and the timing of this demolition was purposely done for during the winter break. And next week, there's going to be clearing of the property. Now, there are no immediate plans for the property. The university says no decision has been made. They just wanted to have the house demolished, stressing multiple times that it's been just a tragic reminder for students, and there's been just a sense on campus among the student body
I'm just working on something here for everybody. Hang on.
Of always remembering these 4 students and honoring these 4 students, but wanting to move forward as well as a student body. So there you see another load grabbing and going into a dump truck. This is going very, very fast. So yeah, it's no surprise that the university said that this house will be down by the end of the day. Kelly?
That was Nancy Liu, News Nation correspondent, of course, friend of us here at WFLA, as far as our media partners at News Nation. And again,
bear with me, I'm working on something here.
Covering this here today. Reading through some of your comments, and I really quickly want to address some friends of the program, because my phone's blowing up with people shooting me texts.
Let me see.
Our friend Duty Ron shot me a text. He's watching. He said that he had a Faro Industries expert on his show, and that 3D is admissible in court and been used before.
Okay, let's go to a multiple live feed. I'm going to bump out of this. going to bring in this. We'll bring up the sound.
Gabe JB. Questions, comments featured on stream. Thanks for joining us here today.
I have live shots.
Barrett Hunley. Hashtag HeyJB. Has there ever been a possible suspect in the course of the investigation other than Brian Kohberger? The answer to this is definitively no from a public standpoint. If there ever was a potential secondary suspect, a potential accomplice, a potential person of interest outside of
We'll
Brian
try to look
Kohberger,
for some more live feeds to add to that queue.
It was never from our vantage point and from all of the press conferences that were held, everything.
Oh, damn it. I'll just go back here. Sorry, guys. I lost the live feed. Now we're back
believed
live.
to have been responsible for the crime, according to authorities, is
live.
Brian C. Kohberger. How did they reach this conclusion? Well, of course, the white Hyundai Elantra, the vehicle that
welcome in everybody. We have multiple feeds going right now.
In the weeks after the murders had taken place, was of course matched to Brian Kohberger.
Any more feeds to add?
Found in Pennsylvania after he and his father, Kohberger, and his dad made the cross-country trip back home to where Kohberger is from in Pennsylvania. Then, of course, you factor in the DNA from the sheath of the knife. DNA evidence from the button itself, according to prosecutors, were a match or a near perfectly identical match to Brian Kohberger. That is something, DNA evidence, of course, you're going to watch as they demonstrate that process in court and how they're able to reach that conclusion. So there's still, not to mention the digital evidence we're talking about as well against Brian Kohberger. The activity, the cell phone activity that took him from Pullman, Washington, over the state line into Idaho, into the vicinity of right here, the King Road residence in Moscow, Idaho, and the cell phone pings, and then the turning off of the cell phone that transpired. All of these things, when you add it up all together, the state is likely feeling confident enough in their case to demolish the house. That is again, we've talked about this, but just kind of put this in a neat little package for everybody. That's the silver lining for people who are desperately seeking justice in this case. In watching this here today, is that the state is really at the poker table here and going all in because they are so confident, and they're in perhaps pocket aces. They are so confident in their evidence that they have in their case that they feel that they can demolish this house. And
I'm going to get to a better feed here. I just got a better presentation put together. Let's go to this one here. We'll bring up the sound. Here we go. It's a little bit better.
There you can see they're moving the executed position. They have.
Does everybody like the multi-feed? Give me some feedback.
The rubble away.
You want the multi-feed, or do you want me to go back to the single feed? Let me know.
Demolishing the home. I'm going to read your comments right now. We're going to take 60 seconds just to listen in here. In the meantime, I'm going to read through some of the comments. Add some of your comments to the queue. And back here live, let's go to some of the comments as they are coming in. And we'll start here with Kim, again, use hashtag HeyJB to have your comment featured. There was another one in the queue that just got erased. Trying to get to as many of your comments, folks, as possible across Facebook and YouTube Live. Kim says, how did your news crew get to be able to get so close to the demolition where others could not? It's a really good question. You know, that's why I was hoping for the feeds to be up a little bit early so that we could get a better idea as to the lay of the land and how many. Well, I still haven't seen a reversal shot. I'm looking here at our feeds grid, and I haven't seen a shot showing the street. Are people watching? Any demonstrators show up? How much media is there? It's all been focused on the house. And while I appreciate that from a streaming perspective, I was hoping that if the shot was up a little bit early, we would be able to get a vantage point. Is there a perimeter? Are media allowed into that perimeter? These are questions that I think about, and clearly some others do here on stream. Let's go on to the next one. Kelly, hashtag KJB from Facebook Live. Justice is in the courtroom. They could have waited until after trial. Not happy about this. To this comment, I want to point out something. All right. I want to show everybody Instagram for a second. I'm going to show everybody my Instagram. And my poll results from Instagram. I don't know how well I'll be able to show you guys this. But yeah, it's not very good. I'll just read it as follows. I asked, do you agree with the Idaho house being demolished? 61% said no. 24 to 25% of you, a quarter of you, say, yeah, you agree with the house being demolished. But here in the comment section, most people, it's a lot like Kelly. Not happy about this. I would like to spotlight some comments, people who agree with this. If there are commenters who very much are in agreement. Going back to now the YouTube Live poll, how many votes are we up to? We asked on YouTube Live exclusively, do you agree with the demolition in Idaho? And we are up to 7,231 votes, and 15% of you there say yes. So I'm looking, I want to hear from that 15%. That's part of what I do here, is to be able to share all perspectives. I'm just not seeing people type in comments in support of this. So if there are, I'll try to look for those and spotlight them, because I'm trying to be fair to all perspectives and everything here. Let's clearly a lot of debris falling now. Kelly, we're going to put away your comment and just listen in here for a second. I don't know if anybody caught it there. I think that was, or it was demolished there. I think that was the staircase up. Appeared to be the staircase up to the top floor where the murders are believed to have begun. Someone shouted something there, and in my earpiece I could.
Let me go back out. Just bear with me for a second, everybody. I'm sorry. Having some technical difficulties. Let's bring that. Actually, that's a little better. There we go.
See if they just try to clear some debris out in the meantime, or if they're just going to topple it all here now.
Couple feeds here. Smash that the button.
Back to the comment section. Skylock James, hashtag KJB. I know a tragic event happened here, but why wouldn't the college want to seek justice for these kids and leave the home up to possible further help? there it is.
That's it.
We had Peter Tragos on earlier. He was struggling to understand the logic with moving forward with this. He was asking similar questions to what you're asking in the comment section. Why ahead of a trial would you just demolish the murder scene? Friend of the program, Jennifer Koffendorfer, former FBI agent, texted me. She couldn't appear on today's stream, but she said, "Sad day for evidence preservation, in my view. I hope the prosecution doesn't end up regretting this. I know the killer won't." That's attributed to Jennifer, who's been on our program before, an expert for News Nation, and tweets quite a bit about cases such as this one, including this one. But yeah,
we're going to add in another feed from Chicago.
Is the demolition of the home as we go back here to the other camera angle. Wow, look at that. I mean, it's gone.
Yeah. I'm going to bounce out and add another feed. Ali, I saw your 20 gifts. I'm sorry. I'm super distracted this morning. I will recognize that in a minute. I just want to get these feeds going for everybody. Let me just bounce out.
All about justice.
I'm going to grab another feed. Added to the queue. Hang on one second, everybody. Sorry about that. I'll bring that back up in 2 seconds. Just trying to get some multi-feeds going here for everybody. I like multi-feed in situations like this. Bring in a couple more feeds.
Just
here we go.
And correct. And you just hope watching this. You just hope that the powers that be.
Ollie, thank you so much for the 20. I appreciate that. Thank you, and welcome new members. Welcome new members.
Prove who did this extremely terrible thing in November of 2022.
I don't think this feed is running.
And we just hope that we all get answers, and that the answers weren't just destroyed in front of us, or at least the chances of us getting the answer that we all want so badly wasn't just destroyed in front of us. All right, we spotlight your comments, your questions as we continue to listen in here, and feel free to throw hashtag KJB in the comment section, and that way it populates here on my screen in the stream center. Let's bring those comments back up. really just curious as to how everyone's feeling, just kind of your reactions now that the house has been demolished and really this is now a cleanup going forward. Really curious how everyone is feeling.
That feed is live.
So
okay.
let's go
The
to
Chicago
the
feed is live.
comments. Betty Nelson, hashtag KJB, who owns it? The university owns it, and the university decided to proceed with demolition.
Landing.
Saying that it was about healing. I'd be really curious to know a sampling of Idaho students.
It's like they have maybe a drone.
Let's say that you were
that
a freshman
Chicago feed
last year and you knew that you were going to spend the next few years of your life here in Moscow, Idaho, attending the University of Idaho. How would you feel on a day like today? Did you, if this was going to be your life for the next 4 years as you pursued your education and on your way to the rest of your life, how would you feel today? Is it more relief that you don't have to look at this house all the time and know that the shadow that it's casting looms over campus, or are you upset with university leadership because you felt like it was an obstacle in the pursuit of justice, or this is now an obstacle in the pursuit of justice? I'd be really curious to know just a sampling of how they feel, and that's what's going to happen. Nancy Lou at News Nation, other reporters.
Oh, they had a drone.
They're going to leave
play
this
that.
site.
We're going to rewind that.
Go do what we in the news industry call MOS, man on the street interviews, just random sampling of.
This one here is from earlier, is Chicago in the corner. Fox 32 Chicago. Looks like they had a drone.
College students. It's going to be more.
I'll rewind it. We'll play it.
Moscow, Idaho residents.
These two feeds in the corner. This is live, and this one up here.
Living there in late December, you would imagine that
is live as well.
They are residents of the town, more than likely, given how cold.
Wow, yeah, drone footage.
That's a Florida newscaster speaking. But yeah, what is the MOS going to look like? I'm curious, and I look forward to following up with Nancy's reports later. Some other comments. Haley wants to know, hashtag KJB, did the families go inside of the home at any point? I'm trying to remember. That isn't in my notes.
No.
And not to my understanding. I don't have any recollection of them visiting the home. I could be wrong on that, just being honest. That one is not in my notes. Legit casual, hashtag KJB. Do you think the university cares about the victims and their families? Seems like complete disregard because of the demolition. All I can do is read the statement from this gentleman here, President Scott Green, University of Idaho, and he said that the house is a grim reminder of the heinous act that took place there. And then he says, this is the part here, quote, while we appreciate the emotional connection some family members of the victims may have to this house, it is time for its removal and to allow the collective healing of
Scott
our
Green,
community
playing God
to continue. And look, it's part of my job to be curious, and I am curious as to how many hands were in the bucket when it came to making this decision. And when it comes to university leadership, any major university or non-major university, really virtually any educational establishment in this country, there's going to be politics at the top. So it's Scott Green issuing the statement. It's his name attached to the statement. It's his school. He's the president. But again, me being curious, I'm trying to think here. What were there any politics at play with university leadership that led to this decision? Because it's easy to look at one person, see one name, and just say, "Yep, this is the guy who made the call." But it rarely are leadership dynamics that simple. So much more can come into play with various pressure, and so, yeah, I don't know. Perhaps we'll know in time, but I think that's worth stating, is that we don't know just how many people influence this decision. Let's go to the second camera angles. We're now blocked by a truck. And that was Nancy's voice in our ear. He might be preparing for a live report talking to the News Nation control room. Here's a guy just kind of here. I'm gonna
stay on it.
Just to make sure I don't catch any inadvertent idle chatter from Nancy. There's some guys just drinking coffee watching this. Look, if I was standing out there, a cup of coffee would probably sound pretty good. It's high 30s, I think, right now, mid to high 30s. It's cold. But now, really, the structure's down, and now it's just cleaning up the rubble. Kate says, #KJB, cliche, but I keep thinking you don't know what you don't know in regards to the trial, and jurors feeling like they needed to go to the actual house. Again, it's so we talked about this earlier. It's not this decision was. Someone asked earlier if this was the jury's, part of the jury's purview to whether or not this house should stand or not. No, the jury selection hasn't even begun. But you do have to wonder if a potential juror is ever brought in, and if it ever. They're supposed to be impartial. They're supposed to be as protected from any live streams like this aren't supposed to influence their thinking. They are supposed to be just impartial and focused on what is presented during trial, and not to bring any media reports, any pre-trial bias, anything into their minds. They're supposed to just be a blank slate and determine if the person being charged is guilty of the crimes that they are being charged with. But you have to wonder, it's human nature, if they go into the trial having awareness of the case, is it ever going to cross their mind thinking, it'd really be helpful if we could go in that house, but we can't because it's been leveled in a decision that perhaps that juror doesn't agree with. These are fair things to ask, you guys. These are fair things to wonder and to ask, because I know they're going through your minds. They're going through mine. And this is part of streaming. This is part of talking back and forth, admitting that we are asking the same questions here. Duty Ron, hey, see, he's in the chat. And give Duty Ron's channel a follow, you guys. He helps us out moderating our comment section. It's better to have it, not need it, than need it, not have it. Is that not the emblem for the opposition in this case? People who are shaking their heads today at the outcome that we have with the house being demolished. This is basically the bumper sticker for it. Better to have it and not need it than to need it and not have it. But again, I'm looking, guys, I'm looking here for comments that show the other side. People that are looking at this and maybe feel like a weight has been lifted off of their shoulders. I'm talking about the 15% of people in our YouTube live poll, the 25% on my Instagram poll. People who are saying, yeah, demolish it. I'm trying. It's part of my job to be unbiased and to present all perspectives, as many perspectives as I can with the tools that I have available to me. And right now, everything that I have seen is, why did you tear it down? What were they thinking? Why would prosecutors agree to this? Yada, yada, yada. See, like Katie, speaking honestly here, as a juror, I'd be very bothered by this. It would raise more concerns to me as to why. Right. Laura, #AJB, do you think that the defense will use the fact that jurors can't see or go into the house to their advantage? would have been an awesome question, Laura, if we had Peter on earlier, thinking about it from a defense perspective. If you are representing Brian Kohberger, who is of course, through our Constitution, he has the right to defend himself by any and all means necessary to prove his case, or not to even prove his case, to poke holes in the case of the prosecution, to prove and clear his name. But will this factor into their strategy? I am not an attorney, but so my perspective on it means very little. But I'll answer in.
So I just want to give everybody some channel updates. A lot of people have been asking me for Chelsea Grim updates. Well, I'm going to have one on Sunday, New Year's Eve at 8:15 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I get it. Everybody, a lot of people might be out, but I'm going to have Steve from SF Investigates back live on the show, and we're going to talk about the most recent Chelsea Grim updates. He was just back out in Williams for about 3 or 4 days, conducting some more drone mapping of the area that Chelsea went missing in. So we will get all that live update from Steve. Unlike another creator that will have a stream tonight and they will source Twitter for their investigation, I actually go out and talk to the people and have them on my show to give you the real-time updates, to actually know what's going on, boots on the ground type of investigation. So we will have Steve from SF Investigates. I've had him on before. And if you're looking for that interview, you can go under my Chelsea Grim tab on my homepage, as I have probably one of the most comprehensive investigations into Chelsea's case. And for some reason, I have no idea why this certain creator keeps beating this into the ground right now, spinning a lot of things that are untrue in her case, as I've given the most updated information as we know right now. Basically, right now, the investigation is silent. There is nothing going on. I was actually talking to Steve last night. There is no posters up anywhere in Williams looking for Chelsea. There's no information being shared. No one is talking. So to keep beating this, I get very offended about it, to keep bringing the file up now and talking about all these theories. There's no theory. There's no theory. The girl is missing. She's gone. And at this point, it's not a rescue. It's a recovery at this point. So I don't know why this person decided, almost 2 months later, I'm gonna go get a records request and start talking about it. It just doesn't make any sense to me. So if you want the absolute up-to-date, real deal stuff, come see me on Sunday, 8:15 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We're going to get it right from the horse's mouth, Steve from SF Investigates, and we'll give you the latest update, the real latest update in this case. And I'm very excited to have Steve back on the show. Him and I were talking a lot last night, very late into last night, and we have a lot to talk about. So please come here. Come here if you have time. If you're not out, I don't do amateur hour. I stay home. And plus, I'm still recovering from this damn flu, COVID, whatever you want to call it. I will be here, and we will get the latest updates as to what's going on. He's going to tell us what is going on in that town. He's going to tell us everything. So come here Sunday night. We'll get to that. Okay, let's get back to Idaho here.
Poke holes in it to get DNA tossed out. So DNA is not unbeatable. It's pretty darn good to have, and can be the baseline foundation for a district attorney's office to prove their case, no doubt. But there have been cases where DNA is tossed out because of whether it be a part of the process going wrong. And so the integrity of the DNA process is so important, and we will gain a better understanding as to the DNA process should this trial happen in 6 months from now. Hee. Yeah, that's a YouTube name for sure. #KJB. As a parent, I would feel much better if they would have waited until after the trial. I would have been part of the 15% if this were being done after Brian Kohberger was found guilty. Here's the thing. If you're university leadership and you're so desperate to move on from this and demolish this house and move on, start the process of healing and moving on.
My third time having it. The second time I had it, it took me almost 2 months to fully recover. Today, I'm actually feeling like massive shit again. I don't feel well at all today. But this is going to be a battle. It's going to be a road. It's not something you just jump up from and you're okay. You know, I was laughing the other day. I went in to get checked out again by my doctor's on vacation, but I went to get checked out again. And the doctor I saw, and I find it funny with all these physicians, because when COVID first came out, it's like, oh my God, it's the death disease and everybody's going to stay home and they're going to die. And da-da-da. Now they're just like, oh, it's a cold. You're fine. And I'm like, dude, I'm blasted. Like, I'm literally blasted still. So yeah, I get it. It takes a while. Whatever it is, you want to call it the flu, COVID, whatever you want to call it. It's I'm still pretty wrecked. So I'm going to go back and rewind the drone footage so we can watch the initial moments. I'm going to bring up the live feed again.
It's a delay. And then all parties say, well, we do not want to do it. Let's change camera angles here. We don't want to do it while class is in session. We are looking for a 6 to 8 week window to get this all wrapped up, and we want to do it when class is not in session. The only real time of the year when you don't have as many students present on campus and you don't have a fully active campus for a 6 to 8 week window is during the summer. So if they were to delay it from summer 2024, it would likely, you would imagine, in all likelihood, and Peter talked about this, it would, in all likelihood, they would push it back a solid year, maybe to May 2025, if they were talking about a delay beyond the summer. So that's another full year of this house standing. I'd be curious to know if they had said our trial date is June 1, 2025, how much that would influence our poll results here today. Because then it's not standing for another 6 months, it's standing for another 18 months. The intention and the goal of starting this summer, coming out within weeks of this, really the same month of the demolition itself, there's undoubtedly an intersection there that where one impacts the other and vice versa. There's no doubt. So very, very interesting. So this is interesting. And I don't think I've seen one comment articulate this as well as Mary has. But this is simple I think a lot, based on my reading hundreds, if not thousands of your comments by now. I think that a lot of people agree with Mary, because there were much longer comments that were getting to this, but this is really the heart of it for so many. Mary says, #KJB, the healing starts after, not during the case. The case is still very much a reality for the University of Idaho. Removing the structure doesn't change the fact that there is a looming court case potentially for this summer. There's going to be pretrial motions. More national, international news outlets are going to be descending on Moscow, Idaho to cover anytime Brian Kohberger sets foot in a courtroom, pretrial motion, trial itself, whatever it may be, anything. National, international media are booking their flights from Moscow, Idaho, and it becomes, again, a massive news story. The university can't, there's nothing that they can do to change that. The one thing that maybe tweaks it is a change of venue, a change of jurisdiction, which has been discussed, but it's unclear as to how realistic it would be to move things out of Latah County. For the idea would be that a change of jurisdiction, a change of district would preserve the integrity of locating and securing a unbiased jury. But man, good luck. Jury selection, because of how now news and information travels in our in the digital era, good luck finding a jury that hasn't heard of this case. It's going to be hard. Now, look, not everyone's aware. I'll tell you what, I talked to somebody over the Christmas holiday who had no idea this case existed. Now, I'm in Florida. A little different. But there are people, it's just going to be hard to find those people. Find a competent jury that will be able to leave any preconceived bias at the door as they walk into the courtroom. Oh, of course. Rooster wants to know, is there any chance there will never be a trial? Is that possible? Yeah, of course. I mean, it's always possible. Change of a change of plea. Brian Koberger says, you know what? Yeah, I'm guilty. I maybe it's the concept of avoiding the death penalty is put forth to spare the families of the victims a long and arduous trial process. The idea of taking the death penalty. I'm just discussing like scenarios in other comparable cases where it doesn't go to trial. Change of plea would be an effort to make a deal. Not saying that that's even remotely possible in this case. Not saying it is or isn't. I'm just saying in that scenario, yes, that would be a way of avoiding trial. A major discovery in the case that points authorities in a different direction and clears the name of
No,
the
I was
suspect who's
saying,
been charged.
I'm sorry,
always
I was
different
muted.
possibilities. In this case, it seems pretty clear.
I was saying that, this back end year has not been fun. I had an upper respiratory that held me over Thanksgiving for 10 days. I was blasted with that. Just got back on my feet, and then I get sick again with COVID. So it just health-wise, it hasn't been fun. I found out I have super high blood pressure. I'm trying to get a handle on that.
This speaks volumes.
It's
and the defense now has another avenue to
hasn't been fun.
Trial.
I just want to get through this year and get better.
Okay? To your comment there, Yogi Bear. Like
super high blood pressure, like not good at all.
Is there any way? I didn't think about that. Is there any way that the demolition of the house could be used as a pawn to delay trial? I haven't thought about that. And there's some dots to connect there.
Carrie with the 5.
Think about
Thank
that
you,
more.
Carrie.
But
I can't read who.
Could Brian Koberger's team say,
congratulate them?
All right, the house being demolished has changed our strategy for presenting our defense. 6 months is no longer an acceptable time frame. We would like a postponement of trial. I
think Lana's out there today.
But this is again why I like doing what I do, because I hadn't thought of that.
Yeah, Lana's out there. I'm watching her feed right now.
Brian, #HeyJB, how do you keep your emotions in check when covering such sensitive stories? I think the answer to this is
her feed is really choppy, though.
I don't. I think people who have watched me for a long enough time know that there are times when you stream for hours, commercial free, no breaks, there are times when emotions will get the better.
Anna, thank you so much for becoming a new member. I appreciate it. Thank you.
I used to be on TV all the time.
Yeah, I'm looking at Lana's feed. I mean, the good thing about Lana, she's actually showing the neighborhood. I don't want to play her feed.
And that's different because you're on TV for a finite amount of time. You have to focus and concentrate and deliver your report.
The connection there must be really bad.
Live streaming's different. We're kind of all in the same room here together. And there's no hiding behind a commercial break. There's no.
But it is interesting to see the.
There's no
area.
Exhale after delivering your.
I don't know. Didn't she just use my Brent Kopacka stuff?
And being like, man.
Maybe I'll pull her feed up really
sharing
quick.
Your real thoughts.
Gary, did she use my Brent Kopacka stuff?
Yeah, no, Brian. Without spending too much time on this, sometimes my emotions.
I'll pull it up for a second so we can see the neighborhood.
I try to
I'll give her credit.
Make it about our audience and your opinions, but emotions are part of live streaming.
It's really choppy.
We try our very best.
She did. All right, I'll pull it up. I'll show everybody what it looks like there. She's live. She's showing the. Let me pull her feed up. Truth and transparency. We'll give her credit. This is Lana's feed. I'm just going to bring it over to the big screen here so we get it a lot bigger. And this is outside the home. So Lana from Truth and Transparency out on site.
Who's that? Now they're going to talk about. Oh.
Or maybe she has someone. I think she has someone live streaming for her. But we'll give her credit. I don't particularly watch her channel. I don't watch any true crime channels, to be honest with you. It's really choppy.
There's our girl. Go, girl, go.
I just wanted to show a little bit of what was going on down there. We'll go back to my feed in a second. I'm not going to play the audio, but we'll just see what's going on down on the street. I know. Let's just watch the feed for a second. And I'll go back to the national feed. Yeah, I'm not going to watch this. This is pretty terrible. All right, let's pull back up my feed. It's really terrible. Let me get these feeds going again. All right, here we go. Back to the triple. I know, everybody. Ay. Calm down. I pulled out of it. Jeez.
Oh, man. So, JB Gunner live. So, there's another JB that goes live. Hello there, hat tip. I personally think that the house would have been easier to rent out or sell.
This guy's
a lot
such
of true crimers with money would have bought into it. Agree or no? No. Can you think about this? Other JB?
That's a troll comment.
If the university owns it, if they were to rent it out, and then all of a sudden it is going to the highest bidder on like a Airbnb type of thing, and then you've got YouTubers that are making videos from inside of the home, and then there's profit being made off of the tragic murders of 4 young students. Think about, you think that this is a PR bonanza for the university? Imagine how the university would be attacked. Imagine the firestorm of controversy that would exist with the university renting it out. No, I don't think that's I'm trying to think of a scenario here where no, but I can't. Betty, #KJB. I don't know if this is sarcastic or not, but I almost read it with a bit of a sarcastic tone. Think it's time to remove the crime tape. There is tape up still. We'll
get to it.
There. It's not up. Laid across the property there. But, there it is. Here, change views. Trying to show you guys as many angles as possible. "65 Roses Mama. #KJB. I just sent a pic of your live stream to my father. Just retired as provost, second to the prez from a university. Didn't ask any questions. He said the house should stay up until after trial." Yeah, people are talking about this. They're texting their friends. A lot of people are home for the holiday.
You're right, Scott.
A little off time from work. To those of you not off, hat tip to you for working through the holidays, because so many people in so many industries that have to work.
My mom is fine. She can get sick at all.
As someone who works in the news industry and has worked many holidays in the past.
I have myself been fucking sick.
I'm
still nasally.
A lot of people
still don't
sitting
feel
at home this morning and perhaps sipping a glass of hot cocoa, and maybe you found this live stream, and you're either in that 15%, you have that sense of relief. And thinking, my goodness, I'm so grateful that community can start the long process of healing. And if it starts with taking down a structure that has already been examined and scanned extensively, so be it. But then you have people that are sipping their hot cocoa and thinking to themselves, how could they do this? So adverse reactions. In fact, when I asked the poll when we began the live stream, we're almost up to 10,000 votes. I included an option for not sure on Instagram and on
Pauly
YouTube.
says they just let them walk.
And on YouTube here,
demoing
11% said not sure. So there's 10%.
It does. It helps
undecided voters, so to speak.
Helps the defense.
Undecided because they just don't know what to make of this. They don't know if to feel good or bad about it, if they agree or disagree with it. So it has to be stated that some people are probably having a mix of emotions here as well. Grateful for people that live in the vicinity of this home who maybe have seen their property values go down or have experienced a lot of stress living in this area, knowing what took place there and feeling relief and happiness. And for those people that perhaps aren't thought of very often, but I think a lot of people, though, are just thinking 6 more months would have gotten us to maybe the initial trial window. Judgmental, #KJB. I think this is the first time that people on both sides of the case, guilty/not guilty, actually agree on something, that the house should not have been demolished.
Yeah.
This is a confusing comment to me, Mr. Mental. Reason being is because I don't know, are you referencing the attorneys? Are you referencing the public? Because I don't see too many people who look at Brian Kohberger and see an innocent man. And that's just look, that's the prism of social media in today's day and age, when he's walking around in an orange jumpsuit, he's got handcuffs around his wrists, and he is perceived to us as the public at large through just that visual, knowing things about the DNA,
agree, Micro.
knowing things about the vehicle, the digital evidence with the cell phones. You see it is natural for people to just see someone who is guilty. So it's hard to find on social media people who say, oh, no, I think Brian Kohberger is innocent. I don't see much of that.
So what you're watching here is a live feed from God, I get this wrong. WFLMA. I think I got that right. So I apologize there. Up here, we have channel 4. And this one down below is from Fox 32, Chicago. I'm going to keep just replaying that. That's from the initial first demolition of the King Road home. But this is live.
Present a defense and clear their name.
I'll get the call letters right. I promise.
But
WFLA. WFLA. I apologize.
I don't know if the Kohberger side of things is watching this, and I'm not so I could be wrong, but are they watching this and being like, no, don't demolish the house, it was part of our defense? I really don't know. There wasn't any objection from the defense.
Welcome in, everybody.
Any noteworthy objection from the defense as far as the demolition of the house. You're destroying the scene of it's if anything, as multiple legal pundits have said, if anything, this is just making it harder for the state to prove their case. So, I don't know, kind of a curious comment there. Oh, wow. Carmen, this is an interesting question. Are they going to put up a memorial for the 4 students in place of the home? Well, I haven't heard yet of their intentions for the property. Moderators, if anyone has seen any report about, even today, the intention for this property, let me know. We're going to go another half an hour. We're going to noon Eastern.
Yeah. That's what I'm going to do.
At this point, the demolition is just now
I need to do today.
Picking up pieces of rubble. So we're going to go another half an hour.
I'll stay another half an hour.
And then that'll wrap it up. So Stacy says, can you do a poll on guilty versus innocent? No, I can't.
I mean, there's a lot of stuff that you're going to be able to seek out on Twitter. I mean, we're going to keep following this. There's going to be hours and days and stuff. We'll come back to it. I just wanted to be live when unfortunately, the first initial hit of that wrecker into the home. I told you, this house is gone. I mean, it's gone. This is going to be all cleaned up by the end of the day. They'll probably come back and level the foundation, take out the foundation, and we're going to have days, and we're going to have many more shows about this. So don't you worry about that. And then tonight we're going to have Kimmy on, and we're going to talk a little bit more about the Bluetooth connection. Oh, and also I might have found another Bluetooth speaker in the home. So I'm going to reveal that tonight in one of the photos that were taken. So we're going to talk about that tonight. All right, let's keep playing through here. I'm going to stay another 30 minutes, and then I do have some things I have to do this afternoon.
It just
I'll drop the link for tonight's show. It's going to be 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, normal time.
We have plans for covering this trial that are going to be very unique, and I can't say too much because this is something we've been working on for some time. But we have some major court cases coming up in 2024, potentially on the schedule for May, with a definitive start date is the Petito trial, the Petito versus Laundrie trial. That is one I've been covering pretty much every day for the last couple of years, or the lead up to it, really.
Looks like a foundation to me when I look at pictures.
Right behind that, we might have this one. So it's going to be a significant year for court cases. We're coming off of a year that saw, Alex Murdaugh. People are still, I know it sounds crazy, people still talk about Johnny Depp versus Amber Heard.
It's crazy. Trends on Twitter all the time.
Streaming
it's
court
so
cases.
Crazy.
Really, in the last 18 months, really last several years, has it's become a destination for people to converse about our legal system.
About Scott.
Some of the high-profile cases that really exist in our country didn't really get any more profile than Johnny Depp and Amber Heard. Alex Murdaugh was a massive case. The Parkland school shooter, massive case. Darrell Brooks, as Peter noted earlier, these are massive cases that have happened, and there's more massive cases to occur in the future, including with the 45th president of the United States, who's expected to be back in court during an election year. Now, while we likely won't get too much camera access to those proceedings, it's just overall going to be a very significant year, another significant year when it comes to putting our legal system under the magnifying glass through the lens of live streaming. And we are trying to, here in the Stream Center, trying to close the gap between these cases and without giving away too much. We're trying to find a way to make you feel as much as part of the making it feel like that you are able to interact with us in ways that we gain a better understanding for how people are following these trials. And so next year there's going to be a lot, and we're here doing a lot of things behind the scene. Again, can't talk too much about it, but we're here doing a lot of things behind the scene to make your viewership just feel different than just watching it on TV. I was doing what I do, monologuing for way too long. And Spirit Wolf says, whose drone was that? Was there a drone that flew by? Can I get a thumbs up or a thumbs down emoji if people saw a drone? Here, let's go full screen. Let's bring. So, sorry, I had some audio feedback. So people are saying, yeah, they saw a drone. I must have missed it. I'm going to keep an eye peeled for it. Would you say that the testimony of the surviving roommates is less important than the house being demolished?
No, it's local
I don't
housing.
know.
I'm sure it's probably
It's
student
so hard to
housing.
say without really.
They're just apartments, Scott.
It's hard to say. There's so much that we don't know, Wheels. We just don't. There's a lot that remains unclear. So there is so much more that we don't know about this case. Michelle, one of our great moderators, asked about Brian Enton. Guys,
Yeah,
I'm
I'm
not
surprised
going
Brian's
to do
not down
a
there.
live stream and not reach out to Brian. I reached out to Brian, and he's enjoying vacay.
Yeah.
He was invited to participate today, and I just I think he is on. Look, some people on vacation, hard to get a hold of for good reason, because you're on vacation. Again, I'd love to see a reversal, just a shot down the street, just to see who's watching.
Doesn't seem like there's many people there.
Another
I mean, from the
perimeter that's
Lana
been
feed.
set up. I haven't really seen all that. It's just weird. Look, that's a good thing. We're focused on the house. That's what matters. But with 20 minutes to go in our live stream, this is an opportunity to I've kept it focused to Idaho, but because I haven't streamed as much recently, for good reason, any and all questions are on the table.
Police car just went by. See that?
You can use hashtag HeyJB, and I'll is it about another case? You know, I have been following Savannah Soto, that case. So I'm just letting you know, all questions are on the table. Any other cases, any other things about our, streaming, whatever. It's all on the table. I'll answer anything. My favorite color. Let's see. Steve, that's the big question, Steve. How is this going to affect the case? The prosecutors appear to be quite confident it's not going to impact the case.
I'm here, guys. I'm just doing some stuff behind the scene, and I want to give you the wide shot.
Perhaps, I don't know. We've talked about this ad nauseum. I just think that some are of the opinion this decision could come back to haunt the prosecution. Others are saying that they have so much tangible evidence at their disposal that this isn't going to impact.
Appreciate everybody being here today. I really appreciate the support.
Until trial.
Thank you.
I'll tell you what. We're going to cover this trial. There's no doubt. We will take maybe when the jury's deliberating, it'll be a great opportunity. Let's say, go down the rabbit hole with me for a moment. Let's say the trial happens this summer, 6-week window. Let's say it takes a few weeks to get through trial, and then the jury goes back to deliberate. We need things to talk about during that chapter, right? When the jury is back there to deliberate and reach their verdict. One of the things we can talk about, we can make a poll out of it, whether or not this decision to destroy the murder scene and to demolish the house, whether or not that was, does the public who watched the trial, do you believe that it was still a poor decision? With the right decision, it would probably be the more appropriate way of asking it. It's Marissa, unrelated to this case, but will you be covering anything with Gypsy? We reached out to Gypsy. Stay tuned. She got out this morning, I believe.
Yeah.
I think right as we were launching our live stream.
She did.
Lily Wayne. Almost read that as Lil Wayne. Lily Wayne. Hashtag KJB. How did the victims' families feel about the demolition? Look, if there hasn't been a statement put out already, I'm sure that there's a statement that's going to be coming out soon. Hard for me to parse through everything.
I looked on the Gonzalez
coming
family
in
page this morning. I
I'm on
couldn't
live
see
stream, but
I think this is an incredibly tough
will
day
there
for
be
them,
a
obviously.
movie made about the Idaho case?
Who cares?
Studios have to weigh.
Who cares?
There's so much that comes into play,
people, man. Like
when it comes to, look, is a studio going to want to tell the story knowing that they are going to be making a profit off of someone else's heartbreak and the heartbreak of 4 families? Documentaries are all about uncovering the truth and interviews with those closest. But when you do a movie and docs are very different to me in today's era.
Right.
People identify with documentaries in a different way that they identify with movies. A movie is an interpretation of what actually transpired from a certain point of view. One day, who knows? Who knows what will happen 20, 30 years from now? What movies that they will make about, and also too, movies that could draw inspiration from a case without using names and a direct connection with the case itself. There's a lot of options there, but Little Patty says Duty Rollins also live with Ed. Cool. Might listen to that on the way home. Love my fellow content creators here on YouTube, man. Yeah, I was out for some time for personal reasons. Birth of our son. And
congratulations.
My wife and I super thrilled to welcome a baby boy into the world.
Wow, congratulations.
And awesome. So yeah, a lot of time at home rocking the baby. And it was really awesome to just kind of be a viewer for a few weeks, you know, and just I always try to put myself in the perspective of and try to understand the perspective of people that watch our content. So yeah, and those live streams that you guys were watching on other channels, maybe I was in the comment section. Maybe I have an alias.
A lot of them do. They love to sneak around and see what we're doing.
But I do watch live streams.
I've seen trends that,
and while I was very much at home focused on my family,
I've seen things where, you know, I started the whole driving around, just driving around, and then all of a sudden it was like mainstream media. I saw it a lot on News Nation. News Nation and Fox, all the hosts were going driving around. They were saying it like that.
My personal
They
life,
watch our shows.
Bring up my personal life. I just get a lot of, because there's so many nice people in the world, and then they just flood the comment section with nice things, and then I can't find any comments to keep things on track. So this is why, one of the big reasons why I desperately try to avoid talking about my personal life is because it makes it exponentially more difficult for me to stay on track. All right. In a few minutes, I'll talk about, if people are really want to hear about my life the last couple months, I'd be happy to share towards the end of the stream, but we got another 15 minutes to go.
Yeah, I'm going to hang about another 15 minutes.
Yeah, I saw this. First one's the school's building a memorial, a reminder that the murder occurred. I
got a personal life, unfortunately. Oh, my God. I need to feel better is what I need to feel.
A memorial is... I want to see somebody who would look into a camera and say, no, this memorial is a terrible idea. I can't see it. There should be more than one. There should be multiple with their respective majors and their respective career paths. Name a lecture hall after a student, whether it's Xana or Ethan or Maddie or Kaylee. Do things to honor them. Don't just sweep them away. We're talking earlier about emotions. How's that for emotions? Yeah, maybe instead of one memorial, find ways to remember these students.
Yeah.
And honor their families. Do right by them, not wrong by them. Whether or not this is just putting away the house for a second. What should be done is to find ways to give people a reason to smile about the 4 incredible lives that were lost that day. And while them being gone is tragic, there are ways that you can ease the suffering of family members, ease the suffering of the community.
Yep.
By doing things to honor them. And this is not exclusive to just this case. We've seen it with school shootings, ways that people try to memorialize and honor the people who have lost their lives during tragedies. This case there's a prime opportunity here for the same to occur. Try to do things, a scholarship, 4 scholarships. Do good. If we just take out the broom and sweep this all away, it's even if you get justice, even if Brian Kohberger is the person that is guilty of these crimes, and even if he's proven to be guilty, even if he gets the death penalty and is eventually that's how he ultimately reaches his fate, there's still tremendous good that can be done to honor Ethan, Xana, Maddie, and Kaylee. And you would hope somebody or multiple people with hearts can find it upon themselves to have the idea to do something or several things, maybe not just one act, but several acts to honor these 4 that had their college degrees and their lives and their futures robbed from them, taken from them.
He's emotional. He's attached. You can see it.
Brooke says, #KJB, I'll never forget Kaylee's father saying, forget him, remember them. Yeah. Look, you guys, when this trial happens, there's going to be a lot of talk. It is part of the jobs that we do to really talk about Brian Kohberger a lot. And that's just part of the process. But that doesn't mean, at least I can speak for myself as a newscaster, does not mean necessarily that we are forgetting about Ethan, Xana, Maddie, and Kaylee. And we will try our very, very hardest to keep that in mind as we, proceed with trial in the months or year or so ahead. War flare, #AJB. Now that the house is demolished, we have a better sense of the setting of the house regarding being overlooked and exposed. Yeah, it's kind of, there's still dust in the air. And, this is actually, I'm a big live stream advocate. Obviously, I'm a live streamer. But this is also a really incredible opportunity for still photography to capture this scene as the dust settles. Still photography still has a very concrete place in journalism as far as I'm concerned. And sometimes a still image can speak more to a person than just watching a video. So I'll be very curious to look at some of, the Associated Press doesn't get enough credit. They have some amazing photographers that are quite literally documenting history with some of their still photography. And it'll be very interesting to see how they capture this moment in time, quite literally when the dust settles.
I'm going to say a big shout out to a photographer that did an amazing job with a lot of the video and audio that he captured, especially down there early in the days of the investigation, was a freelance photographer, and his name was Derek Shook, Shook. If you just put in Derek Shook photographer and maybe Idaho, you can get a lot of his work. And he did phenomenal work for Fox News and got a lot of video and photos, particularly right down there on the first couple of days when this all started, this whole horrible event started. I would look in I have multiple tabs pulled up of all his work, his video. I didn't know what kind of feeds we were going to have today. And I was going to play some of his stuff and just remember. And then we got live feeds. So it ended up working out. But Derek Shook, Shook, lots of credit. Great journalistic photographer.
A moment better than live video really can. They're trying to protect against that, Autumn. Yeah, you hope that no one can make a dime off of this. And so, but I'll tell you what, there's nothing that's going to stop content creators from going there and documenting this when the perimeter is taken down. Now it's private property, you can't step on it. But people, if you can fly with drones over it, you can zoom in with those drones. People will, in the aftermath of this, try to, create content and try to find things on the property. It's going to happen. Can't stop it.
Derek Shook was responsible for a lot of the early investigation video and public stuff for the news and images that we got.
Yeah, see, you're at the end of a live stream.
Incredible journalistic
some of the
photography.
Crazy nonsense questions and comments.
Oh,
a few
we have a conspirator.
I am now seeing that have absolutely nothing to do with.
Rick says BK was motivated by the tattoo of the murdered four. That was a symbol to him of happiness, and he wasn't having it. Okay. Loud and clear.
Yeah, Zero says, I'm sure books will be written about the Idaho 4. I'm sure that there are drafts already written. I'm sure that, but it's
Blum,
not
whatever.
a story that is complete yet. So, we understand, where I'm following the Becky Hill stuff. There's always going to be people that are going to be looking.
Another 5, and I'll be wrapping this one up, and then I'll be back at 4:00 to do some Turtle Boy updates,
their
and then
story
my night show at 8:15.
Part
we'll
of the
have
conversation
Kimmy on tonight. We're going to talk
part of the narrative, and and potentially profit off of major stories. But this one is just interesting because we're not there yet. It's not over yet. But you would imagine that in soon after we reach this story's conclusion, yes, there will be books, documentaries. There's already docs, I think, out. Yeah, as a last call for questions, comments, Stacy, yeah, cool. Thanks for finding us. Appreciate you. The Stream Center is very much a forward-thinking concept to doing news, just a little bit different. And
my dream to have a studio like that.
Really big plans for 2024.
That is my dream, right
things
there.
That I'm extremely excited about. I have not been on camera. The last time that I was on camera consistently was during Ocean Gate. And after Ocean Gate, I needed to work on some other projects for my company, and I wasn't on camera as much. And then I went on paternity leave. So then I was off camera quite a bit, but we have really exciting things in the works for 2024. Can't wait to share what we are working on. And it's a culmination of a lot of hard work and a lot of you guys watching. So wherever you're watching from us here in the Stream Center, or me in the Stream Center, everyone's off. I'm like the only guy working here today, it feels like. But from me here in the Stream Center, huge thank you, because if you're watching,
I hope so,
you're
Carrie.
voting in
It's
the
my
poll,
dream.
you're using #KJB, you are basically telling us that you want to be part of the news process and part of our goal for an interactive experience where we can make a one-lane street as far as the flow of information, a two-way
Maybe,
street,
Danielle. I
and
don't
bring
know.
you guys into our
It's going to
coverage.
take a lot.
We really
It's a
appreciate everyone who's
multi-million
been
dollars.
voting and
Well, not
commenting.
multi, but it's hundreds of thousands of dollars there.
You guys are part of why we are able to do what we do. So thank you. Little Patty, it's okay.
Another couple. I'm going to wrap
live.
this
It's
up.
cool. He'll be live soon, and then people go find his page because he's a great guy. Merry Christmas, Ron, Patty, others. Yeah, man, Ocean Gate. We had 161,000 people in the chat.
Yeah, I had 1,006 the other day.
crazy.
That was good with the glare.
I still think about that coverage quite a bit. Man, I'll tell you, again, rocking back and forth with the baby, your mind will go places and you'll look back on the year that was and thought a lot about Ocean Gate. And how, that story, we tried to cover it with as much sensitivity as possible. Mark Martin was a superstar. We tried to really do it differently than what you would see on mainstream media. We tried to just be as raw as we could.
I hope so, Scott. I need to get my health back. My health is terrible.
Just
really bad.
Kind of document history as it was unfolding, but I always think about ways we could do it better also, as far as live streaming.
It's just weird. I take care of myself.
That's very kind of you, W Chan. But I don't have a blog, but more stuff.
Don't drink, don't smoke, don't do drugs.
Follow me at WFLAJB on socials, and I'll be
high
sharing
blood pressure.
more
That's
about
fun.
some of the exciting things that are coming.
And nasty COVID.
For folks that have found this live stream looking for coverage of what is happening, the rubble is being picked up as we speak. They're going to be, and really the event of the demolition itself is coming to its end. Really, it's now just
we'll talk more about
removal and really reaction.
There's plenty of video and audio, I'm sure, and in articles that will be for weeks now.
Pile of rubble and no longer the home at King Road where Ethan, Xana, Maddie, and Kaylee once lived and made happy memories before reaching their untimely death at the hands of somebody very sinister. Me too, Duke UNC. I remember you from I think you were on our stream with us, right? Yeah. Mark's the man. Shout out Mark Martin. If you don't know Mark Martin, you guys are you're missing out. Yeah, Yo Baby Blondie, I see your comment. That's such a crazy hypothetical that it's hard to say. Space Nerd, thank you. That's very, very kind. Katie as well, thank you. Guys, really some very, very kind. Ooh, Nancy's up, but you know what? I don't want to actually, no, she's just doing mic checks. We're gonna have to wrap up our live stream here momentarily. Literally last call, like 90 or so seconds away from ending our live stream here. Anybody else?
I'm gonna bounce out of
questions?
this.
Now it's time to
I got
punch
some
it in.
personal things that I need to do today. So I want to just say thank you to everybody. Let me pull myself back up here on screen. Listen, we'll have lots to talk about here. I just wanted to get some initial reactions to demolition. There'll be multiple videos and streams about this. It's a very sad day. And, we have to just take it for what it is now, absorb it, digest it, and figure out where we go from here. And, I will continue to talk about this, but I will be back tonight. 8:15. Well, actually, I'm going to have a 4:00 show. I'm going to do a little bit of a Turtle Boy update. That's probably not going to be a super long show, depending on how I feel. And then I will be back at 8:15 p.m. tonight, my regular spot, to have Kimmy on. We're going to talk more about that Bluetooth connection, possible Bluetooth connection with Koberger and Kaylee's device. So I want to thank everybody today for coming into the live. Hopefully this gets out there. We can get this stretched out and get some more viewers on this live. If not, no big deal. We'll have plenty of shows upcoming. You know, you can't hit it out of the park with everyone, but I appreciate every single person that came in today, that hung out in the chat, gave active feedback, is starting to take some interest back in the Idaho 4 case. Kimmy, thank you so much for the $9.99, the $2. I appreciate it. Ollie, big time with the 20 memberships. Carrie with 5, and then Anna becoming a new member as well. Appreciate all those donations that came through. Totally helped me. Yes, I have my University of Idaho shirt on today in support of the Idaho 4, and I will wear it proudly today to represent the Idaho 4. So everybody, let's head out here. I'm going to get some lunch, get rehydrated, see how I feel. Hopefully be back here for 4 o'clock today, and then obviously tonight for the 8:15 live show. So everybody have an amazing afternoon. I hope to see you at 4. If not, I'll see you back here tonight at 8:15. Be good, everybody. I'll see you soon. Bye-bye.